Really gonna give it a nice look. Start at a reasonable spot, and we're gonna create this zero line right here. What's up guys, it's Jake the Barber, and I'm here with my model, Elliot. And today we're gonna do a low taper fade or a mid taper fade. It's a really popular haircut amongst the younger generation, so enjoy. For this, I really wouldn't even section it, just because I want it to have a messy, I don't want it to be completely uniform. I want it to be super textured. So if I section it, cut it perfectly, I don't have to go back and texturize it. It also saves me a ton of time. So what I'm gonna do is wet the hair down. I'm gonna do a shear over comb. I'll check it a little bit, but if it is a little uneven throughout the haircut, that's good, because it'll help my end result when I dry and put a texture styling powder in it. So this is a really important area. All of this, you can see it right here. This is what's gonna flare out. Now you don't wanna ever cut this area too short, because this is gonna expose forehead when we're trying to keep all this full and wave down. So I'm gonna avoid that area. I'm just gonna slightly trim, just a little bit. And when I section this and I pull this hair, I'm taking some space in between each one, because it's gonna create a level of texture. Instead of sectioning, getting it all uniform, and then I have to go back and texture the whole thing again, it saves me a bunch of time. So I'll comb this hair forward. I want to avoid all this. Find my guide and just take a little bit off. And I like to angle it how the head is shaped. Just a little bit. Same thing on this side. Now this is also going to save me a ton of time. So now with the front, I'm going to trim it a little bit. There's some dead ends. I'm going to pull it tight. You see these deads. Just want to get rid of these. So what I'm going to do is, before I blow dry this, I'm going to add some texture. I'm going to pull this hair tight. I'm gonna get the 25 and just ride it off. Same thing. Pull it tight. 25. I just want to add a little bit of texture on the top. This just looks natural. It's not, I feel like a texture scissor, because it's so uniform, it's gonna look jagged. Where this looks a lot more natural. All right, so the top is done. If I notice something, I'll go back later with my shear, but as of right now, I like it. I'm gonna put a big guard on now. This is a 5. So this is a 5. I use wall guards. They fit most of the clippers that I own. These are the Wall premium guards, I believe, but I like how they have a metal clip on the back. They're not the cheap ones. So I'll go in with this 5. I'm just gonna knock down a lot of this bulk. This is where my taper is gonna be, here and the back. So I'm gonna knock this area down. And I'm not going in and leaving a hard line, I'm flicking. If you watch the stroke, we call it a C stroke, it's creating a C. And this is just to knock bulk down. And we're gonna get a lot of this with our shear after, but right here, we're just knocking bulk down. The part of the shape of a taper is a flare, so you want this to be super heavy. And I'll take the razor and texture this as well, so it all falls down, so this doesn't look super straight and this is textured. At the end, I'll do that. I just don't want to take much out of this until I do my fade, and I can really bring it all together at the very end of the cut. So the same thing all the way around. And I like to leave this area. If you notice, I really don't come into this area. I like to leave that for the blend. And this is solely to knock this bulk out. like the 1.5. I'm gonna bring it to about here. And this is really where I'm gonna start the fade process. So you can see all these wild hairs. So for stuff like this, a lot of the times, this actually isn't gonna cut this off. It'll cut everything around it, or you're gonna have to come down like this. See all these hairs grow in different directions? This goes sideways, this grows up, this grows over. So up and down usually isn't even gonna cut this stuff off. You have to, we'll knock down this bulky area with this, but then we're gonna have to come in from different angles. So I'm gonna come in from the side, you can hear it cutting. And same thing, I'm gonna do a C stroke motion. I don't wanna leave a super hard line right here. And you can actually kind of freehand blend this in as you go. And we'll come back to that to clean it up. But this is similar to what I did with my 5 guard by just debulking the area. I like to comb through it after every couple strokes just to knock down the hair that's already detached from the head that gets stuck there. So now I'm gonna go no guard. Now this is optional. You don't have to do this. I prefer to do this. I'll get a detailer and I'll just knock this down all the way. So now I'll take it another step further, which is also optional. I'll use a foil shaver and I'll just eliminate this stubble down here. And this will just create a longer life for the actual fade. It's not necessary, but I prefer doing it this way. Now I'm gonna open my clipper all the way. This is almost a half, so a little bit less than a half. I'm gonna go into this about a little more than a 1/4 inch. I'd say about a 1/2 inch. Even if it's really minimal, I'm always going out when I flick my clipper. Now what I will do with this is every time I'm gonna knock a notch or two down, and I'm gonna go a little bit lower than I was right before that. So I'm gonna go right under that. I'm just fading that hard line out. And if you notice, I'm using the corners of my clipper. Go down another notch. Until I'm back at my 0. And this is a really delicate process. You just want to make sure that you're using the corners of your clipper. I don't suggest trying to use the full blade through this whole process because you're going to wind up creating more lines. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a 1 guard. I'm going to open it all the way. You know what, I'm going to knock it down 1 notch. And I'm going to go below where I put the 1.5 guard. I'm just going to use my corner. We're going to try to eliminate this line right here. Now, if you see, he has hair that grows in every direction, so we're going to have to take a couple different angles to cut this, but ultimately the goal is eliminating this line right here. We're going to pretty much do the same process that we did with no guard and just close it and go a little lower each time until we marry these 2 lines. Now I'm just going to play with the lever. If I see certain little dark areas, I'll polish them off. Use my corners of my blade. Now it's tricky because Elliot has a lot of calyx back here, so that's why we have to take so many different directions and play with the lever. But once we get past this area, then we can put the guard, the 1.5 guard that I initially put this debulking line in, and we can just flick it outward and we can blend it into this. So now I'm going to do exactly that. Put the 1.5 guard back on that we put this line in with, and I'm going to open it slightly and just come in and scoop it out and just get rid of this hard line. I'm not going into the head. I'm not pressing up against the neck here. I'm quite literally just scooping it outward. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna create a shape up line right here. Now this is really gonna create the image of the low taper. So I'm gonna make sure I comb this hair down. I'm gonna get my detailer and I'm just gonna put a nice little line in here. I don't wanna dig into the hairline too much. This is really gonna give it a nice look. I like to comb it down, make sure I didn't miss any hair. And you don't wanna press too hard with these. It can actually create red marks on your client, which we definitely want to avoid. And when you do this, just make sure you're combing downward so you don't miss any hair. And just be really careful you don't cut too far into the hairline. So I'm going to do the same exact thing I did in the back on the sideburn. I'm going to take that 1.5 guard and I'm going to debulk this area. I'm going to debulk this area before going in with the guard all the way close, or with no guard, I'm sorry, and the clipper all the way closed. And we're going to create this 0 line right here. Go in with the detailer. Now this detailer, the blade is a lot closer than the 0 on the clipper. So if you go into this line, it's really hard to get that line out. And a little bit below that line. 0, detailer, shaver. 1, 2, 3. And we're gonna do the same thing as I did before in the back. Now clipper is all the way open. I'm gonna go up about a little more than 1/4 inch, almost 1/2 inch, corner of the blade. Close as I go. Now I'm going to put that 1 guard back on like I did with the back, all the way open, corner of the blade, and just chip away at this. You can see the hard line right here. We want to get rid of that. I'm going to put that same 1.5 guard, just like I did with the back, and scoop this area out. Open it a little bit and just scoop this out. That will eliminate this next line. So now what I'm going to do is, just like I did with the back, we're going to follow this line that we created. And we're just going to bring that around. First pass might look okay, but you have to always comb this down after a pass. And don't go too high into this, because you don't want to create a line into the actual sideburn. Comb, gonna get rid of all that, and we're gonna do it again. Now if we look here, wanna find where the hairline naturally is. We don't wanna carve into it too bad, just a little bit, and we're gonna create this line here. We're gonna leave all this alone because we want the flow in the front. But this, I'm gonna create a little bit of an arch. So what I like to do when I shape up any hairline or an arch is I use my middle finger. I'm using this middle finger as a balance, and I'm using my thumb and my pointer finger to guide the detailer and create that shape. So if you see from the front, I'm using my middle finger here, my thumb and my pointer finger to guide the clipper. I'm drawing. Now, if I didn't use my middle finger, I have no stability here. I'm all over the place. So it's a habit where I always just rest this here. But with none, I have to use my other hand, which you can do, but I prefer same hand. So we can see the top of this arch is right here. We want to make sure the top of the other arch is perfectly in line with that one. We don't ever want to have one arch down here and one up here. It makes the haircut look asymmetrical, which we don't want. We want this area to be completely symmetrical. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to find my line, make sure everything is uniform. All right, now it's time to blend this to this. So what we're gonna do is pretty simple. We're just gonna do a standard shear over comb. You don't wanna go too crazy with this and take this weight out. We want this weight. So we're just gonna lightly, and we're doing the same thing as we did with the clipper with the C strokes. Bringing it outward. I don't wanna go directly into this because I want all of this length. And where we see weight lines, we're just gonna lightly trim this area. We're gonna finish it off with a texturizing and a thinning shear to create some texture for all this when we blow dry and add some product. But for this, the weight is your friend here because we're gonna use a texture powder and it's gonna create volume, not just on the top of the head, but also on the sides. And for this, I really don't mind dry cutting this because I'm gonna see exactly how it's gonna fall. All right, so same thing. We're just gonna eliminate these hard lines right here. I can see what I need to cut. You can see these areas. And before I go in with the thinning shear, I just want to eliminate some of these chunks so I'm not just bashing the hair with the thinners. Now we're going to use the triangle razor again, the 25, just for this back area for a quick texture so it matches the top. It's a fresh blade, so it's going to cut the hair. It's not going to pull my client's hair. Now we're just going to blow dry this. I don't need a brush or a comb for this. I'm going to use my hands. Now if we see anything at the end that we want to fix, we can get our detailers and trim it up. So that looks good. And I'm going to use some Claim 13 texture powder, a little Claim 13 action. And I'm just going to move some of this hair and let it fall down to the scalp. And just rake it through as I go. Now we're creating tons of texture by doing this. So now I'm just going to rake this through. I'm going to blow dry some of this excess out, and if I see anything that I don't like, I'm just going to hit it with a detailer. All right, and there you have it. The low taper fade.